Here is advice that I wish I got earlier in my career. And this was a quote from Layla Hermosi at one of their workshops. And she said, until you're doing $1 million a month in revenue, just sell more. And this was in the context of answering a Q&A session for a business owner that was doing well and had a growing business and wanted to do something adjacent to that. And this was what she said was, until you're doing $1 million a month in revenue, just sell more. Now, this is going to be the topic of what we talk about today on this episode. And this podcast is specifically for real estate team leaders, broker owners that are wanting to grow their business. And I'm sharing my experience of growing Onyx Homes from start to finish. And if you want the closest possible look, my advice is to jump on our email newsletter. We have 17,000 real estate agents that get into that every single week. And I share what I feel is the most important thing going on so that you can sell more real estate. Anyway, let's go ahead and go deeper into this. Now, while I don't 100% agree on the number of $1 million a month, the mindset is spot on. I needed to hear it at that moment for sure. And the reality was, this particular business owner, she was responding. She might as well have said it to me, but the business owner she was responding to was already growing his business. He was growing 20-30% a year, which is similar to us. And he had a very clear path on growing from a $3 million a year revenue business with 20% margin, so making decent money. There's a clear path to get it to $10 million in revenue. And instead of taking the clear path of doing more what was already working and doing what was already working better, the entrepreneur wanted to do something new and go in adjacent. And the advice was to just keep doing what you're doing. Don't get stuck on doing new crap and don't try to reinvent the wheel and all this other stuff. It was just do more of what you're already doing. And the reality is you already know what you need to do in order to grow your business. I was talking to a real estate agent the other day on one of our live calls in our community, and I said, I don't think he's a broker owner that wants to grow a team and wants to grow his brokerage. He doesn't want to just be dependent upon his personal production. And he's doing like $300,000 in GCI, and he wants to grow his team and his brokerage. And I said, I imagine you don't need coaching on how to sell more real estate. You probably know what you need to do to go from 300 to 600. And he's like, well, I mean, yeah. He said it really well. He's like, it's like losing weight. Everybody knows how to lose weight. It's still hard. And I just thought that was such a great analogy. But the reality is everybody already knows, for the most part, most people know how to grow their business. And the question is, why aren't you doing it? And I want to tie this in with something my buddy I actually have not admitted this out loud because this bothered me so bad. But my buddy said something to me 2 years ago now. And I am so thankful that he said this. And he said, Christian, you're always doing something new. And this was at a season or a time in my career where the only thing that I was doing in my mind was focusing on what was most important. Now, here's the reality of it. I was like burning up when he said this because I thought I was being so focused. And I was being focused. I was being incredibly more focused than I had been in the past, which was incredibly unfocused, right? So it's not you're focused or you're not focused. It's how focused are you? So I was on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I only did the one thing that mattered. I went from a 1 to a 6. So it was a huge jump for me, but I was still doing and trying new things around what I thought was the most important. So when he said this to me, the reality was I wasn't as focused. I was doing things that were still recreating the wheel, and I wasn't only focused on the one most important thing. This is something I've struggled personally with the most. And to this day, I just got off a call yesterday with one of my buddies that I talk to once a month, and probably about the same time, he was rebuilding his inside sales department, and he was following a proven path. He implemented it, and fast forward 2 years later, he has a super successful 40-50% of all of his business comes from this, super profitable, and he's running 20% profit margins on a great business. At that time, I was like, nah, I'm gonna do the same thing, just like totally different, and tried to recreate the wheel and did that for the last 2 years. And fast forward 2 years later, I am now restarting my ISA department, and the last 2 years and the things that we're trying were totally lost money and lost of time. So what did I do when I actually decided to do it this time? It's a framework that I have learned to follow. So here's what it is. I'm scrolling to the bottom of my notes because I want to talk about this right now. There's 3 very simple steps to this. Is number 1, follow, like when you're taking somebody else is already doing something that's working and you want to copy it. So step number 1 is you follow their proven process to a T. Do not tinker with any of it. So follow their proven process to a T. Step number 2 is do this until you match their results. So until you're getting the same output that they're getting from it, do not start screwing with anything. Step number 3 is once you match their results, you can start to make adjustments if you want to and choose to, but one thing at a time. Because every single adjustment you make from their baseline, their proven process, you're going to make it better or worse. So if you change 10 different things at once and it gets worse, you don't know which 10 of those made it worse. They might have all made it worse. 9 of them might have made it better, and 1 of them might have made it just way worse. So when you make adjustments, you make one single adjustment at a time and think of it in like month periods. Change one thing, look at it for a month. It made it better or worse. Change it back, or it made it better, and great. That's the new baseline. But pro tip here is changing is risky. So a change is either going to make it better or worse, obviously, but there is a big chance that it's going to make it worse. So meaning you want to be very confident that if you are going to make that change, that it's going to make it better in a big way. You don't want to make things that are going to make small incremental improvements. Over time, of course, that makes a big difference. But generally speaking, you want to if you're going to make changes on a proven process that's already working, you want to see that it's going to make a big impact to do that. So the reason I wanted to bring up this topic today is I still struggle with this. Our entire focus, and again, this podcast is really just me documenting what we're actually doing, building the company. Right now, the biggest question I have is what is an opportunity versus what is a distraction, and what is how broad is the most important thing. So for us in our company right now, the most important thing is to have in-house deal flow, meaning Onyx Homes, our company, is generating leads that our agents are closing on, and that is going to help us grow the business more than anything. So that's the most important thing. And how we're doing that is we rebuilt our ISA department to handle inbound leads. We're running Google pay-per-click to keep them busy, while the third thing is we are building out content. So we're doubling down on our YouTube channel that has brought us business, doubling down on that, and we're building out all the socials that go around it. So we basically have said that it's going to take 9 months to get the content side really up and running. It's going to take 6 months to get the ISA department profitable. And we have it in the budget. We have everything ready to go. And that is where we're at right now. So the question is, anything outside of that is a distraction. So this morning I was sitting at my kitchen table with my iPad making notes and trying to decide if we do this other thing or not. And I made the decision that no, we don't need to do that right now. And we can do that later. We can follow a proven process now to do the growth that we need to do, but we don't need to go open this office out in an adjacent market. We don't need to do that right now. Is that the most important thing? Absolutely not. Is that a potential way to grow the business? Absolutely. Is there a risk that it won't work? Absolutely. Is that going to take focus away from the thing that is the most important? Yes, absolutely. If this expansion to adjacent market, is this a bigger opportunity than the other stuff we're working on? No, not even close. So this morning I just put a nail in it and said, we're not doing this right now. We can revisit it in the future when that is maybe the biggest opportunity. And the reality here is, if we get our organic content where we have leads coming in, we're closing deals from it, that's going to be the highest profit margin stuff, because there's very little cost on organic lead flow. It's the cost is making content, which definitely is a cost. We're investing a lot of money into it, but it's way cheaper than buying leads or something like that from something else. So if we get that dialed in, and we're following a proven process from a team leader, tons of them, that do a certain type of content, they generate leads, and they're generating hundreds of millions of dollars a year in volume. Like, different teams are doing this. It works. other people are doing it. I think we can do it as well. So we're following exactly their proven process, and we just figure it's gonna take 6 months. And if we had it dialed in where we add $100 million a year in volume, all from organic content, does that completely change the business? 1000%. So that's what we're doing right now. Today's episode was me reminding myself of that, and for you to stay focused on the thing and just to sell more. You already know what you need to do. You need to sell more. I think the only caveat to that is if your financial model doesn't make sense, selling more doesn't help. It will help. It doesn't hurt necessarily. But if your financial model is broken, fix that and then sell more is my only 2 cents. Just because so many team leaders have their financial model totally messed up to where they have to sell a lot to become profitable, when it just doesn't need to be that difficult. I took 2 years to fix my financial model in something that I could have changed in a quarter. It would have been more pain faster, and then it would have been fixed a year and 3 quarters faster. So I wish I would have fixed it faster. But stay focused, stay online. And when you are making priorities, I probably should have put this in the beginning. When you're making goals, put them in order, meaning you do not move on to number 2 until you're done with number 1. So for us in our company, number 1 was getting ISAs in place. So we put all of our effort from an admin, almost all of our effort on an admin perspective, on getting 2 ISAs placed, getting the system built out, getting the training built out, getting the workflows, all of that built out. Once that was done, the second most important thing was getting videographer, getting editors, getting a content production, and all of that in place. And that is what we're doing right now. The next thing will be cranking out tons and tons and tons of content, and then doing more of what works from there and adjusting as needed. So that's it. That's what we're working on. Super quick and easy episode. If you want to follow along us building me and my journey of building my company, Onyx Homes, link in the description or wherever to join our email newsletter is the easiest way to do it. Also, if you enjoyed this, share with another team leader, broker owner. I make this because I wish I would have had some of these lessons so that I didn't have to go through them myself. And this is another episode down to me building my company from start to finish. And I'll see you in the next one.